What's up, everybody? Cinephile Mike here. I have the pleasure to chat with Charles Frank, the director of the new documentary short Shanti Rides Shotgun. Charles, how you doing tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. So I'm gonna jump right into this. So, how did you first meet Shanti Gooljar, and how did you decide that she was a good documentary subject?
I found out about Shanti through an article, and I could just tell from like the imagery in the article and the quotes that they had that she was a very fascinating person and somebody I wanted to get to know. And so I just reached out to Empire State Driving, her driving school, and I sent them an email and said, I'd be interested in making a documentary about Shanti. Let me know what you think. And within 2 hours, they were like, "Yes, let's do it." And so I flew out to New York like a week later and got to meet Shanti in person. And you know, it, she's just endlessly entertaining, both on camera and off camera. She's the same person, but she's always kind of that way, and she's just super fun to be around. And yeah, I'm really grateful I found her.
While you were working with her, what surprised you about her the most? Her personality or her approach to teaching?
Hmm. I think maybe her approach to teaching, her personality, I'd already gotten to know her a little bit. So I knew her before she got in the car. And then when she got in the car, I can't even say it's surprising. Like the way that she taught is so in line with how she is as a person. She's, extremely confident, and, can be aggressive, but like in your favor. She's making sure everyone else around you is respecting your space and respecting the roadway, and that's the kind of person you want, riding shotgun when you're in New York City. So yeah.
Trust me, as a New York City resident, driving these streets is sometimes one of the most challenging things you do. I feel like I'm ready to do stunt driving on a Tom Cruise film. So now in this short, I mean, 8 minutes, I'm telling you, I could watch a weekly series with her. I wanted to see so much more. How did you decide what small moments to include or cut,
Yeah.
especially with someone who's, there's so many decades of experience? And did she have any input in how her story was told? Did you collaborate?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I'm glad to hear that we are developing the short into a series and actively working on, doing more with Shanti because we would love to. But for the sake of the short, it was a conscious decision that our editor Nico Frank, who's happens to be my wife, and I made in the process of making the film. Like early on, I just had this idea in my head that I wanted it to be under 10 minutes, and I wanted it to be really tight and digestible and fun, but leave you wanting maybe more. Because I felt like there's a lot here with Shanti, and I could go crazy and keep adding more and more and more, but I just thought it would be fun to make it really bite-sized and maybe make you want more. Um, so that was just the thinking behind it. And like these days I've made the last short that I made right before this one was 23 minutes long. And I just liked the challenge of trying to tell a concise story in a really short time frame. So that's what we went after, and I think my wife really gets the credit for figuring out how to pick the best moments. I mean, there's so much that was on the cutting room floor that was so funny and so good and just like but she found a way to just weave the perfect little bits together and have just enough to tell a human story, I hope, without, dragging on too long. So that was what we went for.
And if I were to ask approximately how much footage did you have? Like how many hours whittled down to 8 minutes? I'm curious.
Yeah, the funny thing is we didn't have to film very long. We only shot for about 2.5 days. Uh,
Ah,
yeah, which, because like you throw three, four cameras on Shanti's car, and within like 2 hours, you have cameras full of like fascinating, interesting, hilarious one-liners and teaching moments. So we only filmed like 2 8-hour lesson days and then half a day with her at home. So really probably like 10 to 15 hours of footage, maybe Something along those lines, which for a short doc really isn't that much, I think at least. So yeah, I would love to just keep filming though, because I know there's more.
And the other part of that question, because I'm curious, did Shanti have any say in how the story was put together? Was it collaborative? Was it more like you had a vision, she had a vision? How did that come to fruition?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I'm always like hyper conscious of, the responsibility that comes along with someone allowing you to tell their story, and like that's a really it's an honor. And there were some parts of Shanti's story, like the grief she was experiencing with the loss of her husband, um, that I wanted to be really sensitive about and make sure that I represented her in a way that felt authentic to her. So once we had a cut that we were feeling good about before we like finished it, we showed it to Shanti, and she just immediately loved it and wanted to send it around to everyone. And she's said now, like in interviews we've done together, that like, oh, that's me on screen, like he got me. So I feel really happy that she feels that way. So yeah.
And so you talked about the different cameras that you set up, in the car, and it has a real, and again, it's because of this pace, it has this like on the go feel. So how did you block or shoot, those driving lessons? How'd you work with your cinematographer, Peter Pascucci? Because you made it feel very dynamic and yet very intimate since we're in a car.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, Peter came up with a really genius way to have all three cameras that were rigged on her car framed so that you couldn't see any of the cameras. So we were able to roll simultaneously on the two French overs behind the head of Shanti and her student, and then have the hood mounted two shot on the hood, looking back through the windshield. And it was cool to just really put a lot of thought into what are these three locked off frames that will essentially be the whole movie. Like there's not, we're making these decisions early on and we're committing to them. And yeah, I give a lot of credit to Peter for really dialing that in and feeling, like there was a lot of intention behind that framing and knowing that that was going to be the look of basically the whole film. But yeah, what it allowed is like the moments to just unfold without us needing to reset or without like um, having to stop really much. Like we were in a follow car monitoring behind wirelessly. And so every once in a while we'd have to call Shanti and have her pull over and we'd tweak something. But for the most part, we were able to roll through lessons. So I think that just gave the students and Shanti some time to settle in and kind of forget that we're recording and allowed for those moments to feel really really like fly on the wall and really real.
So when you were making those moments, stopping, calling her, to stop to make a tweak, how did the students react to this? Like, how did they feel about having their, because learning to drive is nerve-wracking enough. I remember I failed my road test the first time I took it, and I went through multiple driving schools. It took me a while. I didn't get licensed till I was 21, and it was hard growing up on Long Island without that license. How'd they feel about this? Because that's like another layer.
Yeah, I mean, I should say like even the camera that was on the hood was like blocking their view quite a bit.
Right.
And I was like, as soon as we set it up, I was like, Shanti, are you sure about this? Is this okay? And she's like, oh, honey, don't worry about it. They'll be fine. And I think it goes to show how much trust they have in Shanti. Like she really does make you feel comfortable behind the wheel. Like there's no way you're gonna crash this car. Like I'm here, like you're safe. And so if Shanti says it's safe, if Shanti says it's all right, you kind of are like, all right, it's all right. And I think that's how they felt about filming. Like Shanti was so comfortable on camera and so comfortable with us being around that I think she just kind of put everyone at ease and made everyone feel comfortable with the filming. So that's my that was my take.
Yeah, I mean, she has a charisma. And I mean, I laughed so hard when she's like talking to a student and she's like, this is steering wheel? You have to make this steering wheel your bitch. I'm like, wow, I never had a driving instructor like that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So the other piece that was nice to hear, the score that you put to this piece, it's very subtle yet effective. So what was your process in choosing or guiding the musical tone that you had in this?
I wish that I had some like intelligent answer for you. The truth is that it's a song I had saved. I stumbled upon it randomly and I saved it. And as my wife was editing the film, I was just like, I don't know why. I just think this song would really work for this movie. It just feels very like timeless and somehow very New York, even though it's definitely not didn't come from New York, but
Right.
for some reason it just felt like it might fit. And when she tried it out, it really worked and we ran with it. That's like all it is. I don't have I don't have more than that. It was just something I liked.
And and how did you work? Because to balance, the music, the score piece, and then to really balance all this, the traffic noise, the voices, the ambient city sound without it becoming, overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, I think we worked with our sound designer Hans to really find that balance of like what feels chaotic, like that is true to New York, but also what is not so overwhelming that you kind of lose the plot. And I think he struck a great balance in all of that, and when to let the music rise and the ambient sounds of the city fall back, and when to let the voices kind of pull through and feel like you're really intimately in the car and protected from the world around you. And we definitely were having conversations like that about how to kind of balance the chaos of it all. So yeah.
And congrats on the film. It's having a nice little journey run right now. And looking at your IMDb page, you have over a dozen film credits on your resume now. So I love to ask this question of directors I chat with, and I'm an educator, so I kind of call this the educational moment of the interviews that I do. As you move from project to project, what would you say is like advice for up and other filmmakers? What would you say is your best practice that you take with you as you go from project to project? And what has been your biggest learning curve to avoid?
Mm. Something I've been thinking about a lot is attachment to my work. Like I think that filmmakers often, and I'm very, very susceptible to this, but to get attached to certain films based on audience reaction. So, like, if an audience hates the film or it's not doing well, you get attached to that. You get attached to the idea that, like, oh man, this film didn't perform the way I wanted or didn't communicate what I wanted. That's a shame, and you start ruminating about that. But also on the flip side, if you have a film that's really successful, it's easy to get attached to the idea that like, oh, this thing that I did is worked really well and audiences really loved it, and you start sort of like fixating on that and like, how do I recreate that? But I think in recent years, I've been trying to sort of let go of any sort of like enjoy the moment while it's there. If it's good, contemplate why it didn't work while you're there, but then to let go of either of those things and just move on to the next project. Um, and also another piece of advice I heard recently was this idea that like good films are never made if you're really, really cautious about how you're going about them. If you're really thinking about like, is this going to be the next big work that's going to change my career? You're never making good things if you're sort of like walking on eggshells.
Mhm.
And you have to remember that, your career is a long one, can be. And so you're contributing to like a body of work, not just, one specific project. So some are going to be good, some are going to be bad, and it's easier to let go if you acknowledge and look at the whole filmography of your career and think of it that way. That part didn't come from me. That came from, and I forget, there was a filmmaker that was talking about this recently, but I feel it connects to the first part that I said, so that's why I brought it up.
And just a couple of fun questions I'm curious to know about. So, as this film has been making its journey, have you had anyone reaching out to you asking you how to get in touch? Have they seen an increase in business and driving lessons, or any new
Yeah,
awareness? Are they giving
yeah,
you a cut
well,
of any of the new business? No, I'm kidding.
no, no, no. What's funny is like every film festival that we've shown this at, there's at least someone in the audience that either directly got lessons from Shanti or
Oh
knows someone
wow.
that got lessons from Shanti. Like she doesn't really need my help. She's has a, a wait list of people that want to be working with her. So, I think this film maybe will help her get business, but she doesn't need, yeah, she really doesn't need my help. More what's happening is people reaching out being like, "Oh my God, I got lessons from Shanti." That's so crazy. It's happened so many times now. Yeah.
So based on observing her, what would you say? I mean, yes, she has the charisma. Would you say, is there anything specific that really helps her connect with her students? Anything you noticed?
Yeah, I mean, she I think that she's like she like feels like a cool aunt or something.
Yeah.
Like it's just like she wants to hear about your life. She likes the gossip. She, she likes chatting, hearing about all the little things that you're going through and helping you workshop it. And she kind of has a no nonsense attitude about things, which is like sometimes really refreshing when you've been, trying to work through something in your personal life. She'll just kind of cut through and get right to the heart of what the problem is. And I think her students react really well to that. And I think she spent so much time in this car with so many students that I think she's just learned um, I don't know. I think she's just really good with like teenagers and like knows the kinds of things that they're going through and is a really good listener and has just heard so many stories that she's just a good person to chat with and work through things with. So yeah, I mean, she calls me like we talk probably once or twice a week and just catch up on life, and she wants to hear about my our newborn and hear about life and give me updates on what she's doing. So yeah, she's fun to be around.
Which leads excellently into my next question, which is if you could take a joyride with Shanti anywhere, in or outside of New York City, where would it be and why?
I don't know why, but I feel like it'd be fun to be in Florida in a convertible with Shanti. I think just, the nice weather, just, the wind in our hair. I think playing some music, I think that would be fun.
Nice. And what are you hoping people take away from the film after they watch it?
I hope that people feel, that people are complex and layered and have a lot going on. Like, Shanti gives off this really confident, this really sometimes rough, uh has a kind of rough attitude towards things, and yet she has so much love and tenderness and is very sensitive and sweet and is experiencing, loss and grief and processing that at the same time that she's telling somebody to get the out of her way on the streets. And I love that. I just love, I mean, I grew up in New England, so it just feels like that's a part of the archetype of an East
Mhm.
Coaster, is that you have a maybe rough exterior and a lot of sweetness inside, and you kind of have to um, earn that part.
Mhm.
And I think I wanted to show somebody that is, embodies that, because that's kind of the type of person I grew up around.
Nice. Well, congratulations on the film. It's quite delightful. I'm going to be keeping an eye out for whenever this turns into the longer form that you talked about that's coming. I'm excited for that. Charles, thank you again so much for taking the time to chat with me. For anyone that wants to check out Shanti Rides Shotgun, I believe as of now it's streaming on YouTube now, right? People can
It's on
check it
Vimeo.
out
On Vimeo.
on
Yeah.
Vimeo. All right. So, Charles, best of luck with the film. Thank you for talking with me. Everyone, check out Shanti Rides Shotgun, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much.